Let's take a look at the Hermes Lite mechanical keyboard from a company called Gamdiaz. It's actually been a while since I've had a mechanical keyboard come through here. However, when Gamdiaz asked me if I wanted to take a look at their Hermes Lite mechanical keyboard, I thought, sure, why not? And today I'm going to be telling you guys what you get in the box with this. I'm going to be talking about the features of this keyboard, and then I'm going to be giving you my subjective opinion on this keyboard, as well as a noise test. Now, straight onto the keyboard itself. The main thing, as soon as you pick up this keyboard, you'll notice that the build quality is very good. Everything on this keyboard felt solid and rigid, which was really surprising coming from a company that I've never heard from before. Furthermore, upon pulling off the key switches themselves, you'll notice under there they've got red mechanical switches, and they're by a company called TTC. So that's right, they're not Cherry MX mechanical switches. However, don't let that fool you. In practice, these things work exactly like a Cherry MX switch. And I've actually got a Cherry MX red keyboard here, and I could not tell the difference one bit. That being said, just above those switches, you've got red LED backlighting, which is individually backlit for every key on this keyboard. However, one thing to note is that you do not have control over every individual key backlighting there. A little bit of a bummer there. However, the keycaps themselves feel very well constructed. The texture is also like a semi-gloss smooth finish, so your fingers will grip them and they will feel smooth. Kudos to Gamdiaz for making such a good keycap. Now, the actual font on there as well, in my opinion, looks very nice. So it's like a solid font that's sort of like a mix between normal and Razer, and I think it's a perfect blend on a keyboard. Now, onto the main construction of the keyboard itself. It's an all plastic design and the back plating is plastic too. However, as I said before, very solid build quality. The keycaps as well in practice did not wiggle at all. You also have a wrist rest on the front of the keyboard and over 100 keys to utilize on this keyboard itself. Now, an intuitive thing, and one thing that I do like about this keyboard, is the individual backlighting for the caps lock, num lock, and scroll lock keys. If they're on, then the lights will come on. If they're off, the lights will go off as well. You've also got two macro keys there, the space bar and the B key as labeled by G1 and G2, and you've also got the function key to enable them in the software. And the software is very lightweight and easy to use, but we'll talk a little bit about that later as well. Back onto the rear of the keyboard itself, you've got 6 grips there to grip the table, and again, this keyboard, it doesn't move once you place it on the table. It's got one level of adjustment there, which will allow you to get your height up on your keyboard if you wish to use it like that. You've also got 3 angles and pivots there to cable manage the braided cable, which also has a gold tip plating. The cable itself comes in at 1.8 meters long, so ample long enough, though if you do need a longer length, you may wish to get a USB extension cable. Also, one thing to point out is the 5 volt 250 milliamp requirement. So if you're using this with a very cheap laptop, just keep in mind that it isn't the 100 milliamp standard. Now, back onto the front of the keyboard where all the magic happens. You have 4 different levels of brightness there. You've got off, 33%, 66%, and 100%. You've also got the option for breathing with 4 to 6 to 8 second intervals there. And lastly, you have the responsive effect, where you can turn the lighting off, but when you press a key, the whole keyboard lights up. One thing to keep in mind is that the print screen button for some reason will always stay lit up. Now, taking a look at the software itself, you have 6 different profiles there to choose from, and you can save them, rename them. You can also attach them to launch with different games, and you can even assign different hotkeys when you want to launch those profiles. Very intuitive design with the software. It's also lightweight, and it can be saved with the onboard memory of the keyboard, so you don't have to actually use this program once you've saved your different settings. Also, you've got the option there to create different macros. For instance, I created a macro to open up Wolfenstein and it worked flawlessly. Not to mention you can change the different speeds of the timings in between. Very good macro function with this keyboard. You can also give those macros to your friends, or you can copy macros from other people. Also, looking at the software, you've got the option there to switch your function key and Windows key around. And now, interesting, or oddly enough with this keyboard, is you have the Windows key located on the right side of the keyboard by default. But again, this software alleviates that problem, at least for me, very quickly, without any problems at all. Looking below that, you've got the 6 and 21 N key rollover effect there. The one thing I will point out is when I tried the 21 N key rollover effect, it didn't work properly. When I, for instance, hit 10 keys at the same time, my keyboard bugged out. So I just leave it on 6 N key rollover, and in practice I think it's more of a marketing effect than anything. Also, this software allows you to add individual recordings to macros and or individual key presses. Lastly, on the note of software, they allow you to update the software at any time, which means that they can add in more functions in the future, which is a great thing with this keyboard. And with that being said, we'll quickly move on now to a noise test, and then I'll go on to my subjective opinion and conclusion. So now I'll talk about my experience with this keyboard and what I like and don't like about it. However, ever since I've pulled this keyboard out of the box, I've been nothing but impressed with it. The build quality is amazing. Nothing rattles, nothing feels loose, and even though it's made of all plastic, it just feels solid and rigid. And this is great coming from a company that I've never heard of before. Not to mention that the keycaps are some of the best I've ever had, or best I've ever typed on. It's got a slight curvature there, the font looks gorgeous, and the texture is amazing to type on. And then that red LED backlighting comes through at night, and it matches my red and black themed gaming PC build downstairs perfectly. It's as if they knew I needed this keyboard. So kudos to Gamedius for getting this right. However, on that note, we will talk about the red switches. So this keyboard uses TTC red switches, and now they differ from blue and brown switches. And if you guys want to know the differences between those switches, I'll put a video up here that you can check out where I explain all the differences between them and who and what switch is best for who. However, the red switch that they use today is really good for gaming, as it's really responsive, and you'll absolutely love it when you're coming to competitive games and you need the fastest key presses. So let's talk about the red LED backlighting now. Every key is individually backlit. However, one thing I would have liked to have seen is individual backlighting control, especially since the software allows for this to happen. And if you could utilize this, it would have made the keyboard perfect. I mean, I could have had a profile for Dota 2 with the individual hotkeys backlit up, and then change to StarCraft 2, have the hotkeys I use in that game backlit up, and then go to COD, same thing. However, I'd imagine they will implement this in a future update, or hopefully they will, and this keyboard would be perfect. Though lastly, you're wondering about the TTC switches and the fact that they don't use Cherry, and for me that is not a problem at all. I actually have another keyboard here, a Leopold, which is going to sit on the bench now. This uses Cherry MX switches, except the problem with this keyboard is these 3 keys are busted, and I actually need my print screen key, so I had to reprogram my key through some dodgy program to make my print screen down here. So I mean, the fact is with the switches themselves, they will last a long time. It's the implementation of those switches which is what matters, i.e. the workmanship on the keyboard. How good was the soldering, etc, etc. And honestly, the workmanship on the Gamedius keyboard is really good. And as I said before, this Leopold keyboard here is going to be getting bench lined. So in conclusion, I'm going to be giving this keyboard 4.5 stars out of 5. I was impressed with the build quality, absolutely impressed with it. Not only that, the keycaps themselves, very easy to type on, feel great, and then you've got that amazing looking font as well, that's red LED backlit. And all that, if you go to their website, you can get it for $60 US shipped to your door. That is one thing that you should get on. Honestly, if you're looking for a keyboard and you're a gamer and you don't have a mechanical keyboard already, I would jump on this. Now keep in mind though that it is only red LED backlit, so if you're teaming it up with the black and blue theme, for example, you might want to look at a different option. However, you can turn the backlighting off, and even then at $60 USD, it's a great buy. Also, one thing I would like to see with this keyboard would be the individual backlighting control, and I hope they implement that in a future update of their software. I think this is the reason why I'm not giving it 5 stars, is that it just doesn't have that individual backlighting control there. As well as the fact is the N key rollover isn't really 21 N key rollover as well. In sense, I guess it might be 8 N key rollover, true N key rollover. However, that being said, the Gamedius keyboard here today is absolutely amazing, and they've done a really good job on getting this keyboard in at a great price. So that's about it for today, guys. If you like this video, then you know what to do. Get on that like button, give it a bit of a hit there, and if you haven't already, subscribe to Tech Yes City for more tech news, reviews, and whatnot. And if you have any questions about the Gamedius keyboard, then don't forget to drop a comment in the comment section below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Peace out for now. Bye.